Hi, I'm Seth. I know how to talk, but do I know how to listen? Eh. Welcome to the good world.
2, 3.
So come on in to a place that is fun. I'll be your friend and you can be mine. The world is a stream of constant bullshit, but that doesn't mean there's not a whole lot of good shit. You start to believe and we can make something different. Let's build a world that is good.
This is a show for adults. Hi. So, this morning has been a bit of a journey already. Uh, I was very tired this morning because, I don't know, my dogs. And so instead of filming at my normal time, I was like, well, what if I take a little nap and I could push it back 10 minutes? And then that nap, it just kept getting longer. I was really tired. Um, and that's good. Or not, it's good that I was tired, but it's good that I was able to recognize that I was tired and be okay with it. But so at 11, I had a Zoom meeting with a group. I'm in this program called the Inner MBA. It's through an organization called Sounds True. Also, I'll just say now that I do not speak for Sounds True. I just go to school there. The same as I don't speak for my seminary. Also, I know you're thinking hey, Seth, you're doing an MBA and you're in seminary. Yeah, I'm very overeducated. And that's not changing anytime soon. Also, it's not an MBA. It's an Inner MBA, which I'm sure they'd be happy to tell you the difference. But it's sort of about integrating what's inside you with the need to do business in the world in order to survive. Anyway, I had this Zoom meeting with my group, and we did this exercise where we were paired off with each other, and it was one person's job to speak and the other person's job to listen. And that's something I've done in seminary also, because it's a very chaplain oriented thing to do, is to just listen to other people, hold space for them. And so I was sort of fine with it, and obviously I'm fine talking for a while because I can do this, and these videos could be a lot longer if I didn't give myself a time limit. I'm very happy talking for a very long time. So that part's not a problem for me either. So we're told, it's set up that we're going to be paired off into Zoom rooms, and then one of us will speak, the other one will listen for 5 minutes, and then we're going to come back all together, and then we'll go back out and switch. And it was set up, so they're sort of setting this whole thing up, and I'm like, okay, well, if I share what you're supposed to do in the exercise is just share what comes to you. And what I was doing, because I have a brain that really just goes constantly, is I was sitting there and I was trying not to plan what I was going to say, and I was still thinking of all these things that I was going to say, which is kind of what happens when I make these videos. Is I go about my morning and I think about things that I might say, and I'm like, do I want to talk about this? Do I want to talk about this? It's nice to have a topic. Also, that enables me to do something for that little cold open that I do before the theme song. But so I was in this kind of space where I was thinking of all the things I was going to say in my 5 minutes of talking to a stranger. And then something interesting happened, which is they said, okay, the way we're going to do this is just when you get into the Zoom room, whoever has the darker shirt is going to go first. And I was not wearing this overshirt. I was just wearing this Steven Universe star t-shirt. I know it might look like a communist star. It's Steven Universe, which is a great TV show. So I looked at my shirt and I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to be sharing first. I'm going to be listening first. So all the things I had in my head of what I was going to say just kind of disappeared, because I was free to not have to worry about what I was going to share yet. And so we get into the room and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to have the lighter shirt. And then my partner who I'm paired with has a white shirt, which means actually I am going to share first. And that was an interesting position to be in, because I had just forgotten all of the things I had intended to say. And so I kind of had to actually listen to myself, listen to what was coming up for me. And that's a thing that's really hard for me to do. And I had this realization as I was sitting there and talking with this gentleman. He's also, I don't know, maybe my age, maybe a little older, could be younger. It's hard to tell on Zoom. But I was sitting there with him. He certainly, we felt kind of peerish, I would say. And even now I'm like avoiding thinking of the harder part of this, which is that I was sitting there trying to talk to him, and then I sort of went silent for a moment, and I realized that because I have this skill of being able to talk unprompted for a very long period of time, and I can go uninterrupted for a very long period of time, is that has kind of crowded out the skill of listening, not just to other people, but listening to myself and listening to the things that my body has to tell me. And that is a thing that, as like, I think it is not just people who look like me, but the sort of Western white dude is absolutely taught that we do not look inside for feelings and listen to those. We explain everything in our heads. It's all intellectual. And anything that is sort of emotional, anything that is somatic, is another word that I don't even know the actual definition of, but I think it's like body stuff, body-based. Right, but any listening to your body is not a thing you're supposed to do. And if your body is telling you something, you're actually supposed to fight through it. Right? If you are culturally from something similar to me, then if you're sick, you should fight through it and go to work. If you have an injury and you play a sport, you should tough it out, rub some dirt on it, and go back out and give it your best. And these ideas are not good for us. First off, if you're sick and you go to work, the very obvious thing is you can give other people the thing that is making you sick. And how many times has each of us gotten a cold from someone who went to work with a cold? Probably more than we realize. So we're just taught to fight through everything our bodies tell us. And I sort of had this moment sitting there, and I was identifying I had this like anxiety pit in my stomach. And I was like, I'm just going to sit with that for a minute. And I realized that what I usually do is just talk over my own body. Like my body is trying to tell me something, and I just la 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 la, put on my headphones, and I literally just talk over it. Instead of listening to it, I explain what intellectually I think is going on. And so even something like, I feel this pit in my stomach, that's noticing it in a way that I've been trained not to do. And that has taken some practice to learn across the last few years, to even just be like, oh, I'm feeling like some butterflies. Like even just acknowledging that, as opposed to talking through it, talking over it, just continuing on and on, right? Fighting through the pain, rubbing some dirt on it. Instead of that, to actually stop and go, okay, what am I feeling right now? And just listen to it and not have to be like, oh, well, that pit I'm feeling in my stomach is probably because my coffee was a little strong today. And then I can dismiss it and get rid of it. And not say, oh, my back is achy. Well, that's because I slept funny anyway. Go about my day. Just sit and feel that pain. Sit and feel that sensation. Because that's your body telling you something. Our bodies have evolved to tell us things, right? Pain is a thing that our bodies evolved to tell us danger, right? If you put your hand in a fire and it starts to hurt, that's your body's way of telling you, hey, putting your hand in the fire is really dangerous. Let's maybe not do that. Pain is your way is your body's way of alerting you to danger. And that it can also be misleading. We'll get on that in a second, because that sound means it's time to take a very short break. So let's take a very short break.
Please like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe.
Yeah, that's right. If you like this video, click the like button, and maybe subscribe to my channel, because I'm trying to like actually do this as a thing. I know I said in my video yesterday that it like feels delusional, and it does. And something that would help it feel less delusional is if you click like and subscribe. If you share it with your friends, that would be lovely. I am on many social medias. The easiest way to find things is to go to goodworld.love. There's a merch store. You can get a little mug. But then there's also just links to this YouTube channel and to my Facebook and my Instagram, because this is what being in the world means here in 2024. Okay, so I was starting to talk about your body tells you things, but also it's a very blunt system, right? Your body is telling you danger, because either you're literally putting your hand in a fire and it's saying this is dangerous, or you see a fire and your brain remembers, hey, we put our hand in this thing one time. That's dangerous. And so we see the fire and we're like, okay, I'm going to keep my distance. But that kind of thing happens. First off, it can, that connection between like seeing the thing and that feeling of, for me, it's a pit in my stomach sometimes. Sometimes it shows up as like a sort of heat in the back of my neck or on top of my head. Sort of a tingly, fiery feeling. That's more of an anger than a pain. But both of those are negative emotional responses. And both of those are happening at a level that it's not intellectual, right? Those are just signals from our body telling us fear, right? Keep your distance, look out, you're in danger. And a thing that is really important to realize is that feeling I am in danger is not necessarily a true you are in danger. And I think that for especially American cishet white dudes like me, but also for lots of other people, just being alone with your feelings and your thoughts in silence can feel dangerous, because we're so not used to doing that, and we're so trained to not do that. And so literally just sitting still when I first started meditating, I really just being still, I really didn't like it. I literally even said to someone at some point, they were like, have you tried meditation? And I was like, no, I just don't like being alone with my own thoughts. Ha ha ha. Isn't that a funny joke? But also I mean it, right? Like that is the way that it feels, is that our own thoughts and feelings are scary, and we need to sort of keep them at bay. And so what ends up happening is that because we're trying to stuff them down and ignore them and shove this out of the way, they still come out, and they come out without us sort of being aware that they're even coming out, right? And that sort of sensation where your body is saying, hey, danger, turns into a survival response, turns into, I need to literally fight to the death right now, because your body doesn't understand the distinction between there's a tiger running at me and my classmate at school made me feel bad about myself, right? Or made fun of my shirt. Like something that is sort of even a low level threat to our status, or, when you're in high school, those threats feel pretty big. I don't mean to dismiss the feelings of being in high school. It's hard. I did it. But when we sort of sit in an intellectual space we're not listening to our body, we don't even realize that our body is doing that. We just get an adrenaline spike and we go. And that, I will say, for me, is the way that I have done the most hurtful things to people that I have done hurtful things to, is by being in this place of, like, my body is doing things, it's sending signals to my brain, and instead of realizing that that is what's going on, my brain is just reacting, and and justifying those feelings, right? If I feel angry, it's because you did something wrong. But I'm cutting out that first part. I'm not even acknowledging the feeling. I'm just like, you did something wrong, because that's what's happening when we're not listening to our bodies. And I started out by talking about how I was really tired and I just needed a nap this morning. And even that's an easier way to listen to your body. Like we actually know, oh, I'm tired. Like that's a thing that we're sort of used to feeling and hearing and being like, okay, I can get to bed. Although if you have a fancy high-powered job like I have previously had, then you do still often find yourself like, no, I need to get coffee and push through it. Sleep is for lazy people. Bop, bop, beep, boop, borp. And you don't end up taking care of yourself, and you end up being really unhealthy and sort of keeping these unhealthy habits going. And so there's a book by James Clear called Atomic Habits. And basically the way that he describes our habits, this is related, I promise, is that every time you perform an action, it's like your brain has a little ballot box inside and you are choosing to vote between I'm going to do this or I'm not going to do this. And every time you do that, it makes it like slightly more likely the next time that you'll do the thing you voted for. It's not like it's not the same as an actual election where, like, you know, if you have 51 votes for one person and 50 for the other, then you're going to do the thing every time. Like we're a little more probabilistic. We're not monkey see, monkey do. We're monkey see, monkey a little more likely to do. Well, that's also if we're seeing someone else do it, which I think is also the case. Anyway, because we're sort of spending so much time rationalizing the things that we're not listening to, the things that we're feeling, but we're denying that we're feeling, and we're just rationalizing and turning all of that into intellectual arguments, usually for why we're right and someone else is terrible, we end up keeping all of this going, and we end up hurting other people, and then they feel hurting because they have intellectualized and haven't listened to themselves. Then they go on and hurt someone else, and it's all, wait, I'm gonna grab a thing and show you something. It's okay. Everything is okay. I just forgot to run away and it unplugged my sound thing. Anyway, yeah. I'm gonna get this thing. So, if you are, like me, a person of a certain age, and that certain age is 40 and change, you may remember these. It's called Newton's Cradle. Here, let me... Look at that. That's what happens to our feelings and our emotions when we ignore them. We just hit someone else with them, and then they hit someone else who hit someone else who hit someone else, and then guess what? It bounces back to us. Yeah. Was all of that buildup worth that? I don't know. You can decide. But for me, it's a good illustration. And so I did want to share the sort of metaphor of the Newton's Cradle. So all of this comes back around to the importance of learning to listen, and learning to listen to ourselves and not talking over the messages that our own bodies are trying to send us. Because we spend a lot of time, especially but not exclusively, cishet white American dudes under capitalism. Also, if we're like rich in sort of relative terms to if we're not super poor, we don't listen to our bodies. We don't. And we need to. Because when you don't, it's actually pretty harmful. It's bad for you, and it's bad for your relationships, and it's bad for the world. And so I have been working on listening to my body. And sometimes I forget, but I get a little better at it each time I do it. Just listening to the sound of my breath and listening to the signal, the non-auditory signal that my body is sending me of, okay, this feels a little tense, but it's okay. So we can end there. We can all just listen to our bodies a little bit more. We don't need to talk over it. And now I'm talking over it, so I'm done. Well, thank you, friend, for your visit today. Now it's time we both go on our way. The world will still be insane tomorrow, but don't let that fill your heart with sorrow. You can thrive in a desert, just ask a saguaro. Please give to my Patreon. Capitalism is fun. Let's build a world that is good. This is a show for adults. Bye-bye. Thank you.